It's 10 o'clock, and I'll call the meeting to order. Notice the meeting was properly posted Friday, September 1st. Item number 3, discussion of possible action to approve the minutes of the special meeting held on August 2nd.
Stephen?
Yes.
If we could, I'd like to make one suggested change. There on the second page, just before new business, the paragraph where it reads, motion by Satterwhite, second by Blau, to make a recommendation to the Board of Oklahoma County Commissioners to place this contract on the BOCC agenda. I believe that contract was the OSU Extension IT Services Agreement. I'd just like to specify what that contract was, if we might.
Okay. You got that, Matt?
And then with that amendment, I would move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 4. Grant, would you like to give us an update?
Sure.
On all that's happening?
Certainly. Good morning. How you guys doing? I'll start by saying you guys obviously know there's a whole lot going on with court services and different things happening. I will say, while that's anything going on as far as what we do, paperwork, criteria, what we're looking at, how it works, nothing changes in our department whatsoever as far as that's concerned. Everything's going as it always has. The only thing that's been different is that was voted on at the BOCC is to give us authority to establish the jail, which we've done. So Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, we have a staff member over at the jail in the window in receiving, doing the same thing they would usually do if they were in the office. Otherwise, through the budget board, and we were given approval to hire additional staff and given the money for that. That's still in the process. We're doing interviews today. No one's been hired. When someone is hired, we've talked about covering those busy times at the jail, talking to jail staff. That's a Thursday through Sunday time frame, nighttime. Overnight, that's going to be the busy times at the jail. By hiring staff, that's going to allow us to work the overnight during those hours to catch those people as they're hooked in and arrested. I'm going to still maintain the daytime shift. By doing that, we've been given a budget for 2 people. I can ask you guys, we can certainly go ahead and hire those 2 people right now up front. We can hire one and get that person going and see the processes and how it works and the benefits of that, and then hire the second one later, or just hire them both. So I just want to start off by saying that.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, honestly, if we have full access to a judge and the ability to take our paperwork to the judge at any moment's notice, then more than 2 may be needed to hire. There's no way to confirm and ensure that will happen at any moment's notice, any day, but we've been assured that it will happen.
Just a follow-up question. I thought this morning in the BOCC meeting, it was stated that we're staffing the jail at nights on the weekends.
No, daytime, right now, because we haven't hired anybody.
We're doing 8 to 5 today. So all you've done, the only change in practice today is you've just physically located somebody at the jail. So we're not currently staffing during the nighttime hours.
Nighttime, no. We are Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 at the jail. Saturday and Sunday, daytime, we're doing 6 hours each day.
Okay, we are at the jail.
In the daytime.
Okay.
Not at night.
All right.
Not at night. And we're doing that because simply we don't have the staffing to do that. Once we get people hired, then we'll certainly be able to cover that. And even by doing that, by hiring 1 or 2 people, we're a 7-day operation now, 7 days a week, but we're not a 24/7 operation. When that happens, we'll be hitting that front end and the back end of those busy times at the jail, which is the Thursday through Sunday.
Mr. Billingsley,
Yes, sir.
tell me about holidays.
Well, that's something we've discussed. As of right now, what we're doing is we're following the 12 holidays, 11, whatever it is, the holidays. We're following those holidays, and nothing has changed as far as that goes. We're still planning on taking Labor Day and Thanksgiving and Christmas and those days off. But that would be a question for you, if you think that we should have people working holidays, staffed in the jail, or continue allowing those people holidays off.
If the holiday, and I'm not sure if what day of the week that Christmas, New Year's, stuff like that fall on this year, Thanksgiving, Thursday, Friday, you say those are your busy days, 2 of the 4, right?
For weekends and evenings, yes.
Right. Would you continue to staff on those days?
That would be a question I would need to ask probably you guys and go further, because they are holidays. I don't know if that's how that works, if it's something that you think we should bypass that and go ahead and have people work, or continue to give them those days off.
Well, I think that, by and large, needs to be answered by what kind of cooperation we get from across the hall, right? If there's a judge available, then perhaps we need to consider that. But if there's not a judge that's going to be available during those times, you might get a little bit ahead on the paperwork for them coming in whenever the next working day is. But
so far it's been fantastic. We've had access when we need it, any time to get the paperwork there, to get it whether approved or denied right away. Monday, Robin did go in for a few hours to see how it would work on a holiday and get work done. She was on there for a couple hours and got 5 worked up, 4 were denied. But she got 5 worked up.
So they met the criteria to
Sure.
be worked up, and then they were ultimately denied.
Just on that one day.
Yeah.
Right. So it's all access to that, which it's been there. We've had access to the judge when needed. We've also been assured that, assuming we do cover those evening shifts during the busy times overnight, that when we need them, they'll come down and sign paperwork. Whether that be midnight, well, sometime after 5, midnight, 4 a.m., and first thing in the morning, that they'll come down and do it.
Well, to Mr. Blau's question, if you have people working holidays, and then we have people working holidays at juvie, we have people working holidays at the adult detention center. If you have staff assigned to work those days, if you got cooperation from a judge or judges, would you staff it? And you're asking us for what?
Well, because it is a holiday, I don't know the rules and regulations and on it, if that's something that we have to give them those days off.
We have, Steve, if I'm right, Dan is here, and we have provisions to cover employees who work on holidays. So they would get their pay plus a holiday day. It would just not be, say, Thanksgiving, correct, Dan?
Right.
So they would
take another day off in lieu of the holiday. We don't pay a premium to work on a holiday, but they would not lose their holiday. They would do it on another day.
So it'd be like comp time?
What holiday paid time?
Yeah. Not paid, but just get a different day off.
But in terms of, are they going to lose a holiday or compensation, the answer is no. Okay. I don't know that I want to give you direction as to whether or not you should hire somebody. The board and the budget board have weighed in on that. What I would say is, given the importance of trying to get the population down at the jail, I think the BOCC has done and should do everything within their control to make that process work. So if that means hiring now, if you have qualified candidates, then that would seem to be. What I don't want is for somebody to say, well, they're not staffed properly, therefore we can't. I would much rather it be, we're at the jail working people up and they were denied.
Right, sure, absolutely. Yeah, we're, like I said, we've already had positions posted, the positions closed, we've gone through them all, and today is the first day of interviews. So we're getting there as quick as we can.
I would think the recommendation on holidays, if you talk to the judges, for example, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, MLK, whatever day of the week, President's Day, all the stuff that's coming up. If it makes sense, the goal of your department is trying to get people out, right?
Absolutely.
And I don't know why we would take those times off.
Sure, yeah, no, I'm good with that. I just want to make
That's
sure, with it being a holiday, that if there was some sort of...
Right, but if you can get cooperation from the judges, it makes sense to me to do that.
Again, we should do everything within the power of the board to facilitate this process and put the onus then on the others so that they're not able to say, well, I didn't have anybody to sign the paperwork on, right?
Sure, absolutely, yeah, and that's our goal, with, like I said, without hiring people yet, we've now become a 7-day-a-week operation, and we're getting all those people. Once we get people hired, you know, Thursday through Sunday, we're almost 24/7 covering that spot.
Do you have your numbers for August yet?
I do. A typical average for us is, for pretrial releases, 100 to maybe 120 a month is about an average that we typically do. We started this expansion, an expansion of hours, August 12th. But for the whole month, we did 274 pretrial releases. Since August 12th through the rest of the month, it was 221 total. But I will say, for conditional bond, not OR, just for conditional bond throughout that month, there was 32 denials. So they're still doing what we do. We, like you guys know, anybody who fits criteria, we work up that paperwork, and we provide the judges the opportunity to make an informed decision on that person's pretrial release. It's their choice to approve it or deny it. So it's not an automatic everybody's approved. It's still the judge's decision.
In your discussion with Mr. Rabbits, what's the average stay for somebody if your crew wasn't there?
So if they just stayed in custody, I talked to him and Judge McCrae both individually. They both agreed it would have been about 6 months on average, but 4 months as a very conservative guesstimate on how long someone was sitting there. Because we have some people on a conditional bond that have been ours for years, sometimes 2-3 years, still waiting on their case to be disposed of. Some people it goes by quick, it's all. But on average, a very, very conservative guess would be 4 months.
Back to the discussion on working holidays, even if the judge isn't available, you'd still be 1 or 2 days ahead of the curve if you was in there and you had all the paperwork ready, so when the next working day came up.
Sure, absolutely.
So.
Well, so there should be some, hopefully, cost savings to the jail for what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's no way to calculate a true cost on a total savings. But, you know, we've looked at numbers. Let's say things go as they kind of have been, and we do about 10 a day pretrial releases, so let's say 300 a month. At a conservative guess, a 4-month stay in jail at $50 a day on a yearly basis, I think it was like $21.6 million. If you calculate it that way. Now, that's not calculating unknown medical costs. Someone has to go to hospital, emergency, you know, continued medicine. Who knows what the true cost could be, but that's just one way to calculate it.
Have you been seeing the average daily population numbers creeping down, or
yes, as a matter of fact,
accurate as that can and can't be?
As accurate as that
Is it
before
going down?
can be. We've noticed typically before this process, county inmates would sit around 2,100. Usually we hit, I printed it off, I didn't bring it, I think it was last, whatever day it was, it got down below 1,900.
On county,
Correct.
not counting the city or state.
Correct.
Right. Good job.
Thank you.
Is there anything you need, Grant, that would help?
Really just the manpower, getting people hired and being able to cover, because kind of what's happening is when we come in that next morning, we're playing catch up. So what we'll do is we'll come in we even changed one person's hours to come in at 7 a.m. So that person comes in at 7 for now, gets everything printed, the whole list of everybody who was brought into county jail, and they have all that paperwork ready, so when somebody comes in at 8, they can start right there. So what we'll do is we'll get anybody and everybody worked up that's in booking, that's still sitting there, not dressed, housed, anything like that, and we can get that to the judge ASAP for an approval or denial. And then when that process is done, we go get everybody else who's been moved up to the floors and work all those people up, and we can usually get both of those done before lunch. And then second half of the day, then we're finally in catch-up mode and we're getting people as they come in. But once we get to that Thursday through Sunday overnight and daytime hours, then there's gonna hit a point where we're really not playing catch up, we're getting people as they're coming in. So we just gotta get those people hired.
Do you have the computers and printers and everything to support 2 people at the jail?
We have been lucky enough that we haven't had to purchase anything yet. We've found chairs and computers and different stuff like that. The only thing we may need, if we house more than one person at the jail at any given time, a second computer. Right now, it's just one person is working. If we get to that point where we need 2 people over there, then we can certainly look into one more computer. But as of right now, material-wise, we're covered.
More questions, John?
Good job.
Thank you, Grant.
Motion to receive.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. David, how are you today?
Well, sir, thank you. Emergency management continuing to move ahead. I know you're familiar with a lot of the issues with recent hurricane activity in Texas, Louisiana. Our full-time staff did not deploy down there. However, one of our volunteers went down and spent a week on the incident management team in Rockport, Texas, which was considered ground zero. And he brought back some interesting information and observation. And I don't want to brag, but it's always interesting how when people from Oklahoma, not just Oklahoma County, but when people from Oklahoma go to assist in those situations, they're able to shed light on appropriate procedures and protocol and things, particularly with our incident command system and some of those kinds of things. And Lucian Jones is the gentleman I was speaking of. He's got a great deal of experience. He retired out of Oklahoma City, was a police officer a long time ago, and he was in the communications unit for a long time. He was able to go down and provide some very valuable input, and other members of the Oklahoma Incident Management Team accompanied him. I think it was about 12 or 14 that went down, and all reports are they did a phenomenal job in relieving the group that had actually initiated command presence from that perspective in the incident. And they were the first relief that they had gotten, so it was substantial, and they spent a week there, just got back a few days ago. Another of our volunteers in his own professional duties, he is the risk manager, emergency manager for Bank of America. And he had, I believe, 28 different facilities impacted, many of which were completely destroyed, including one that was hit by lightning and burned to the ground. His reports, this guy's phenomenal in regards to the pre-event preparations that he does, the continuity of operations planning. There's just a lot of things that he does and a lot of very valuable lessons that he brings out of these. We're going to be using him as kind of a reporter in some regards to some of our upcoming workshops and stuff because of what proper planning can do. Back here, we continue to look forward to the remodel completion downstairs. Good progress has been made the last week. We're getting ready to install ground marker boards and the monitors and some of those kind of things. So we're getting close to actual completion down there, which is pretty exciting stuff for us. Still working through the emergency operation plan, complete rewrite of that I've mentioned. And still having progress there, which is a good thing. And that's pretty much the big items that we have on the table.
I heard that office wasn't really redlined. Is that true?
Not in one wall where we cut it open,
No lead on one side.
that I could see.
As long as the atomic or nuclear weapon hit from the south.
If it is deployed from the south, that's not a problem. But, you know, if we, anybody with a water balloon on the north side could cause some damage.
But we don't want to talk about water.
Gotcha. Lead lined on 3 sides.
I question that.
That's the rumor that's always been there. It's definitely reinforced so we can validate that information.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Thanks, David.
Motion to receive.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Stacy? Chantel? How are you?
He said there's nothing new to report, but if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer. He's at a pre-construction meeting now for questions.
Thank you, Chantel.
No problem.
motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Tyler?
Mr. Mayor, I have no new issues or anything. Things going smoothly. Have any questions you may have?
Thank you, Tyler.
Motion to receive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Matthews?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Not a lot to report right now. I do want to cover a report that I got from our work comp excess carrier. Annually, once our year closes, they do a benchmark report for us and kind of tell us how we line up as compared to their other customers, both in Oklahoma and nationwide, self-insured customers. And we just did this report just recently, and pretty favorable report, so I wanted to share it with this group. Maybe it'd be better if I kind of pointed. Oklahoma County, we have a lot of incidents. We've got 2 facilities that drive a number of claims for us. So you can see that our incident numbers are high. This last year, 136. And when you look at the benchmark, which is where we should be compared to others, and then the best practice, the people that do a really good job, we're 136% higher than the benchmark, and best practice 195% higher when you look at just the number of incidents that we have.
Dan?
Yes.
If we were to look though at the two driving entities as compared to other entities that they might, are we on par? I assume we're talking about the jail, right?
The jail. And
okay, so if you separated out Oklahoma County Jail from XYZ Jail that's also covered, are we seeing similar numbers in terms of...
I don't have the data on that. They didn't provide that, and I can ask them to pull that
I was
data.
just curious.
Okay, the next slide. When you look at claims, one of the ways they benchmark this is claims per $1 million of payroll. And you can see that our claims numbers, we do about this last year, 2.66 claims for each $1 million worth of payroll as compared to below one claim on the other 2. Again, higher than benchmark and higher than the best practice. But when you look at the actual cost of our claims, we drop way down. Our claims dollars are much less than the benchmark and the best practice. In fact, 76% less than, or 75% less than benchmark, and 68% less than best practice.
What do you attribute that to, Dan?
Astute management.
Natural.
No, I attribute it to a lot of education. Our guys, Don and Brad, both do a lot of education and training with employees, both starting at new hire orientation and then regular training at the sites to talk about injuries, talk about risk factors, and then how to report claims. The cheapest claim that we can have is one that is handled immediately and we get treatment for. We don't generally have very many high-dollar claims. We've gotten most of those off of our books. But if we can get people in for treatment and get them taken care of early, the cost dollars go down. Several years ago, we created the online reporting that you've probably seen. So if somebody has an accident, they're injured, even if they're not injured, they report it. And you get a copy of it if it's your department. You get a copy of it. We get a copy of it. We authorize treatment if it's needed. And so we know about those and get them done quickly. This is the best practice area, low frequency, low severity. Oklahoma County, if you look over the last 5 years, we've been right here on the edge. We have a lot of claims, but if you look at our dollars have been low. year after year after year. A scatter chart looking at the green ones are nationwide. The blue squares are their clients in the Oklahoma area, and we're right there. So we have a lot of claims, again, low dollars. And this next one is really telling. When we compare ourselves to other government self-insured, Oklahoma County, as far as the amount of loss that we've incurred, for the Oklahoma self-insured, there's 10 of them that they cover. We're 100% better than all of those. 83% better than nationwide self-insured. And when it look at severity, we're 100% better than any of them. So we have a lot, but we do a really good job of managing those and eliminating the loss that we have. So just want to share that with you. We work hard at work comp, making sure that people don't lose fingers and toes or have someone die. We want people to go home at the end of the day. So sometimes we're a little bit of sticklers on how we deal with those when we're especially on site. But it's in the employees and the county. Questions? Good job. Okay. Marilyn Jones does a great job of managing the actual claims along with CBR, our third-party administrator, a great work comp attorney, Jim Ferguson, that helps us. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Christie, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you all?
Great.
Just to add a tiny bit to what I was talking about this morning in Commissioners meeting, the population that we serve is in the process of being hit pretty hard with cuts from so many directions. I just think it's worth mentioning that that segment of our population is in for some tough times, but it's also a time that you see the agencies, the networks that the agencies have created becoming so invaluable. And over the last several years, that network has become stronger and stronger and stronger, people proactively working together. And then you hit a time like this and you see how valuable that is. But the senior nutrition one is particularly hard to get. They're having to, and I'm talking about it because these are the elderly in our county suffering. They're having to close 3 of their congregate meal sites. And what we're going to do is try and combine those with the ones that are the nearest 5, and working with another one of the agencies that we fund, Metro Transit, to coordinate transportation for those people to get from where they are over to this other mill site. So just seeing the agencies pulling together and making things work is really encouraging. I'm concerned about some of the people who were receiving the home delivered meals, which again is what we fund. Some of those are, I believe, having to be put on a waiting list. And so we want to have some conversation about that, just so that we know how are you managing that, how does that work exactly in this particular situation. Anyway, just thought it was worth bringing up. These grants that we do are invaluable. And we're so appreciative of being able to do them. The other thing is, I call good news. Our chiller made it to this point, and we're in September, so I'm feeling pretty good about where we are with that. I'll end with the good news.
Any questions? Thank you, Christie.
Motion to receive.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, Dane and Rich.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Go ahead. I'm going to start with an update on disaster recovery and licensing. As we talked about in the BOCC meeting, we did amend our Mid-Con contract at power out there. When we got out there, there may have been enough power to power the backup server system that we wanted to put out there. I didn't want to put all my horses on a meeting, so I felt it was necessary to go ahead and increase the power. We know for sure that we're going to have enough power to power the backup systems when they go in. We will be...
From an amp standpoint?
Yeah, it's, the UCS is a massive system. The chassis basically runs the power for the servers that are plugged into it. It can run on, it has 4 independent power systems, and it can run by switching over between the power systems, but we want to be careful to make sure that if for whatever reason all those power systems have to come to bear, it sucks a lot of power. And I didn't want to take a chance on maybe it will do it, maybe it won't. I don't want to take a chance on a disaster. I'd want to make sure the power's there. There's not needed. So we are adding enough amperage and enough wattage to make sure that we are going to be covered in case we have to switch over to the disaster recovery site. It did delay us a couple of weeks as far as getting the equipment out there because we have to make sure the power's on first. It shouldn't delay the overall timeline. I've already been in contact with Presidio for professional services to make sure that we have our advising technician in place. As soon as the power comes online, we're going to be able to start getting that done, start moving that back forward in that motion. The other part, I'm sorry, Jeff, I mean,
does that replace the current tape backup that we have?
No, Mr. Buchanan, what it actually is it's our entire server infrastructure duplicated. It's not actually a backup. It's literally a live move over.
Right.
It basically turns Mid-Con into what's called a warm site. So if we were to suffer a catastrophic loss of facility here, everything would turn on at Mid-Con, and there would be no interruption of service.
So what's live is live over there?
Yes, and everything it's real time. Everything is in real time.
Minimal interruption.
Yeah.
It's not a hot site, it's a warm site,
It's not instantaneous, but it's within, 30 minutes, hours?
depending on the service.
It can,
Depends on the service.
we can move it over pretty quick. That's the benefit of having that system there, well, actually in both places. So something, if we do have a catastrophic loss of facility, the county can continue to do business. And there is also, the other part about Mid-Con is there are also facilities for elected officials, essential personnel, to be able to run offices out of that facility. And also allows communication with all remote sites, such as social services, the jail, things of that nature. That's the goal. And we are actually working forward to that.
What's your deadline?
We would like to see it done. I believe the last time we addressed it, we said it was going to be within 90 days. I'm still confident we can make it in that time frame. So I'm guessing not guessing. I would like to put out the estimate of about 60 days from now. We should be able to be up and testing. The other part, I'm sorry, did you guys have, anybody else have questions about the disaster recovery effort as it stands? The licensing aspect, as you know, we want to be very much more proactive on how we view, review, and take care of our Microsoft licensing. We are a very vastly majority Microsoft shop, and licensing, as you guys know, can get very expensive if it's not watched properly. To this end, we've been engaging SHI, and they're one of our vendors for software, hardware, and integration tools. We have been engaging them in a service to help provide oversight and reporting on how our licensing stands, how it works. We went over this with this was one part of my report in the last policy and governance meeting. We got a initial statement of work from SHI. I didn't think that they worded it correctly, so we're going back and making sure they understand our needs so that we can get a statement of work that we're comfortable with sending off to the DA. I do believe it is a valuable service, and I do believe it's one we should invest in.
Is that something that was in your budget?
That's not really.
No, because we didn't know about this prior to budget time.
That's correct.
Okay. Are you all planning on bringing this to the BET?
We are going to once we have more information and have solid numbers for them, yes, we do want to bring them to the BET. That's my part.
That's all you got, really?
I know I'm on top. Okay, I'm gonna let Chad rock that.
All right, first off, I'll start simple. UPS, our date's still scheduled for the 22nd. I spoke with Matt Ferguson from Fiscal Automatic yesterday morning. He assured me that everything is on time, everything is good to go. Shower Electric is scheduled, the delivery is still scheduled for the 20th at the housing place, and everything's gonna be smooth, despite the fact that they got blown away by this tornado. We will be ramping up communication on that here in the coming weeks to all the departments. I know there's still some of you guys that I haven't talked to yet, so we will be, just keep everybody up to date on that, and if anybody has any major issues with it, we'll have to kind of cross that bridge, but that is our only weekend, so it's kind of important that we get it done. Also, last week, I managed to get a hold of Caliber Computing for Aegis, and to talk about Aegis a little bit. Rich and I talked about this. One of the things, and I think we spoke about this a little bit, one of the things that we have concerned with regards to the upgrade is, we see it kind of as a two-part thing. There's the long-term plan of how do we get off of it completely and onto something that's sustainable and easily upgradable. There's also the immediate issue of the current state that it's in with regards to the life of the server, the age of the software, the age of the database software that it's running on. How do we get around that? I spoke with Deidre Cheney from Caliber Friday, and one of the things I noticed on our contract reading through it was we pay them a lot of money for support and maintenance. Now, my question, as we've been learning this, as we've taken over, is how much support and maintenance are we actually getting for $180,000 a year we spend? So, no one really could give me a good solid answer. So I asked Deidre about that, and she said, yes, you do have support and maintenance, and we do still support Aegis 9.2, and we have a team for that. Okay, I said, I also read in the contract, you guys would assist us with upgrades. Yes, that's correct. Okay, then here's what I want. We need to get to a place where, hardware-wise, I feel comfortable in saying that we can recover from it should it die. That means we get to buy a new server. You guys help us create the Aegis 9.3, which we're going to have to do anyway, to move it off of the current form into online RMS, if that's the route we go.
And that's what was presented to us prior, where we weren't really sure that we needed to do this stuff you're now talking about to get to the...
Correct. Now, the good news, semi-good news, is we at least now understand how many versions we need to go to. Because that was the question. That was my first question. How far do we need to go? We're at 9.2, but we got to go to like 10.6. That's 3 steps, 7 steps, 12 steps. Good news is we don't have to go to 9.3. So that's only 1 step. Not too bad. But they are supposed to give me some information, hopefully by the end of the week, to let me know what it's going to take to get us onto a platform that is under support, hardware-wise, running Aegis 9.3. That's my immediate, I want to get that fixed. And if that takes a couple months, great. Takes 6 months, fine. And then we can start chewing off Jail Tracker and online RMS and whatever the district attorney's office wants to use for phase 2.
So again, had we back as a group recommended to the board that we pursue all this Jail Tracker stuff, it wouldn't have worked because we weren't... Still would have I don't recall us being told about that.
And I'm still trying to clarify.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm still trying to clarify, though, whether I don't believe, according to the meeting I sat in with Jail Tracker and Captain Basin 2 weeks ago, or last week, I guess it was last week. According to Jail Tracker, we don't have to do any Aegis upgrade to get the data out of there into Jail Tracker for phase 1. So if the jail wants to move it,
right, the catastrophic failures and all of that,
right.
We were thinking towards, we would have.
I don't know how we would recover from a catastrophic failure today. So my goal is to get from there.
Yeah, and
Hopefully, we wouldn't even have a failure.
again, I just want to make sure my understanding of
Right.
what you're telling me, so we're good, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So I'd like to have information on that by the end of the week. It's my goal. On the topic of Aegis. Actually, you know what? I'm going to come back to that. I was reviewing the MOU agreement between our department and the sheriff's office. That was signed, I think, in 2014, somewhere around there. As we've now gone through an agreement with OSU, and I've seen kind of the process on that and how we wrote that, I went back and looked at the agreement with the sheriff's office. I don't really see a date attached to that. Is that something, just come to you guys on this video, is that something that should be renewed every year? Or is it just we made an agreement in 2014 and we'll just live with it?
You're talking about the servers and the firewalls and the communication.
Yeah, the split.
Probably be a good idea to keep it current.
And that's why I bring it up, because reading it, it is not technically, from an engineering point of view, correct. So, engineers weren't really consulted when that agreement was done. It was written by, we'll call it administration. So, for lack of a better phrase. And so, from an engineering point of view, there's some things on there that aren't quite correct. I believe we're following it in the spirit that it's intended, but it's not technically correct. I'd like it to be technically correct. So, with some guidance on that, I'd like to kind of revisit that. I don't think it's an issue. Nothing really is going to change with what both sides are trying to do. I just want to state it correctly. There's some systems in there that are mentioned in there that don't exist anymore. There's some wording as to who's responsible for funding and so forth that I don't think is quite accurate.
I think the biggest issue was security related, if I recall correctly, with
Correct.
MoCop,
Mm-hmm.
all stuff.
Right. Security is not really the issue today. For me, it's the wording on how we're providing, what we're providing, and who's paying for it.
Just make the modifications you think that should be made and just send it to each of us.
Okay, we can do that. Sure. Now, back to Aegis. A few years ago, and I don't know all of the details on this because I was not at that level, I was just one of the engineers. A few years ago, it was determined by, I believe, the DOCC, that our department should be collecting money from outside agencies for Aegis access. Does that sound familiar?
Say it again.
Our department should be collecting money from all of the outside agencies that access law enforcement data.
It's not my understanding of the sheriff's agreement. I think the sheriff was providing that for free. Are you talking about when they provide data in Durant or where it is?
Okay, because
I may be fuzzy on that, but I thought they were providing that for free.
I seem to recall that there was, or we're talking about going through a portal?
Yes.
That there
Yeah,
was
that's how we chose to do it.
associated with
We
that.
chose to do it through the SSO portal because that was the easiest thing to track. We could track licensing easier that way. So look, we've got, your department has, 13 connections coming in, great. 13 times whatever the monthly or year, whatever the bill was. I don't know what it was, but.
And who bills it? Is that your question, or who
Well, it
receives them?
it's not just who builds it. If that was the policy and that's what we were supposed to be doing, what I'm telling you is that was ended 2 years ago. I don't think with necessarily board knowledge. This is me bringing it up. Is that something we need to do again? If so, we need to lay out the parameters of it.
Well, it was my understanding that that's when we separated the sheriff from the county system, if you will, because of this, because of the people in outlying towns. If the virus or bug got in there, it wouldn't penetrate our firewall, it would be contained.
Yeah, but
Sheriffs.
I'm not entirely sure that's the whole reason. And like I said,
Are they isolated right now? I mean, if they got a
Yeah.
mobile cop in let's say Durant, if something bad happens?
Well, that's mobile cop, that's on the sheriff's office network. What I'm talking about is Aegis specifically, not mobile cop. I'm not talking about patrol, I'm not talking about Island, I'm talking about city, local, and city who get Aegis access. I'm talking about the clerk's office that gets Aegis access.
Okay.
I'm talking about who else gets Aegis? U.S. Secret Service, FBI, all these outside agencies. It doesn't really have, I don't say it doesn't have anything to do with the sheriff's office, but this is our department that provides this access. And if it was my understanding that when Mike Harmon was here, that we were supposed to collect a certain amount of money per month or per year, whatever that agreement was. I'm just letting you know that process was ended, and if we need to start it up again, I need to know that.
I think we need to know what that process was, because
Okay.
my recollection was we were charging for portals as it related to mobile cop. Now, are they accessing Aegis through mobile cop, or is that
No,
separate?
Aegis through the portal.
Yeah, the actual.
This has nothing to do with mobile cop.
Yeah, the actual remote portal is actually a server that resides here.
Okay,
It is a secured gateway portal that allows a user to remotely access the Aegis system outside of our network. It's separated off and segmented off from our network, but it gives a gateway into
okay.
whatever a specified
Is,
person is.
and is there a document that you've seen, or? that-
I haven't found one.
Okay, is there a document? that-
They exist, but
But there is the one for the sheriff's MOU that you have your hands on, correct?
Yes.
That you'll,
Yeah,
okay.
but this is two totally different things.
Well, right, I'm just trying to,
Right.
I mean, what do we need to look at? 'Cause
Well,
I
this
can't
goes
tell you
back to-
today what to do,
I
because I don't know
understand.
what it is.
Right, this goes back to county data being
Right.
accessed by non-county agencies.
I'm clearly confused on
Yeah,
what.
and I thought there was some agreement with OSBI or something that,
Yeah, but this is beyond OSBI. This is,
I think
there's
they
a lot
were
of
gonna
agencies
provide
coming
that
in.
for those agencies.
The way that we understand.
No, Aegis was us. Aegis is
All
it's
us.
all our data, it's all here, it's all in-house. We have okay, we'll start with this. We have a direct link to the city, local, and the city. Okay, comes into the building, actually comes into the jail technically, and then comes into the building. Okay, prior to the portal, because there's a direct link, they had on the machines, just like the DA's office has Aegis running on the machine, just like anybody else has. Okay, it's a direct link, it just worked. Prior to specific Java version, great. Took into the portal, that link theoretically should have gone away. I'm going to say it didn't, but it should have. Okay, we put it through the portal because that was our way of tracking who's getting in. With Aegis, it's hard to tell who's actually in there at any one time. So the portal idea was, hey, this is an easy way to track. You come into the SSL portal, we can look easily at the server and see how many connections we have and who they are by their account. Easy enough, okay? So, and I believe that the cost, Rich, you can correct me if I'm wrong with this, but I believe the cost was relative to
That's
the licensing.
Our understanding was for every person that connects to a remote desktop session through the portal, you have to have a license for it, and Microsoft sells them in blocks. It's per connection, so it's per user. It's however many are connected at any given time. We bought a block of connections, and the idea behind charging external agencies for access through the portal was, I believe it was $60, which roughly covered the cost of one user license. So as we needed more licenses, we should have been able to have that revenue stream to buy more licenses. That practice was ended, and we pretty much just have the 150.
Right. I bring this up for a couple of reasons. One, because I don't want our department to be out of compliance with anything the DOCC directed. And two, when we get to this Aegis upgrade and the online RMS portion, and the words that keep coming back to us, plus obviously we're still waiting for numbers, is that it's going to be prohibitively expensive because of the license model they use with online RMS compared to on-premise Aegis. If we can charge for outside agencies to get county data, that could offset some of that cost. If not, it may not replace it, but it could certainly offset what could be an astronomical number. And right now, obviously, I'm speculating on the number, but
Sounds like you need to investigate it. It also sounds like to me that you guys need written policies and procedures for all the software that people can follow up. Let's say there is something catastrophic, and we all go away. We get vaporized. Somebody comes in on the backside and say, how do we start this up? How do we boot this up? Sounds like to me, I mean, it's a lot of work.
That's part of doing the disaster.
that's part of the disaster
Is that
recovery
you
plan,
guys
sure.
need that written down to know what to do, when the deadlines are, who you bill, who the point of contact is, and all that other stuff's in the contract.
It's all part of the DR plan.
Okay.
Have we ever received any revenue on these portals?
In the past.
In the past, I believe we have. I don't know what account that's sitting in.
So we had a contract in place at that time, you assume?
I don't think it was a contract, but
Do you
just me
think
making assumptions because I was not part of any of that.
It sounds like it went away when Mr. Herman left and Mr. Teal came in, that there was a,
I would say in between that time,
right, yeah, when we were behind on a lot of things.
probably.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that if that's something we're supposed to be doing, we need to go back to doing it. And I'm fine with that. And we can make the arrangements and do what we need to do it. But if, you know, if nobody cares anymore, that's fine too. We just need some guidance on that.
We'll come up with the contracts and see what was entered into, and we need to pursue that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, CJ, you want to talk about audit timing real quick?
Good morning. Recently, the state auditor asked for a summary of activities based upon last year's audit findings, and none of those were reportable, so that's a good thing. But just because they're not reportable doesn't mean that we don't want to work on them. We do still want to try to fix those. And I take it as if it's a reportable, whether the board has or not, because that's important to me and the whole department. So we've moved basically everything with the exception of one item from a 0 more towards full implementation. So we've moved everything with the exception of one item. I have some summary data too, if you would like to look at it. It's certainly, it's just a very, very brief scorecard. Where it is, I'm sorry, sir. And my purpose of being here today is just to make you aware of what we're going to give back to the state auditor as far as progress on these items, so that you are aware and that it's important to me that you know, and that's my purpose of being here today.
The lower the score, the better, like in golf.
They graded on a Likert scale. 0 is no implementation at all, and 5 would be you guys ruled the world. You're king of the mountain.
The higher the score, the better.
So the higher the score, the better. Yes, sir.
It's the modified system of golf scoring.
It's when I play, not one person.
Plus and better.
It's just that the deal down here, it says none in red, vest, and green. So, am I misreading that?
No, that's correct.
Okay. But that's just-
Red would be 0, no implementation. Green would be a 5.
Okay.
And I've kind of got the,
We have a 7 and a 6 on the counts. But you're just talking about the score right here.
yes, sir, and keep in mind that these were all 0s at one point. Basically, no implementation. So we've moved them all with the exception of the last item there on the bottom. And that's something that the state auditor is asking that the BOCC put some type of mandate in place there. So that's kind of outside of our scope of control. There's another one there that's kind of outside of our scope of control, and that's licensing. No, not licensing. I misspoke. Local admins for the sheriff's department. And that one is kind of outside of our scope of control as well.
You need more than the one?
I thought that was part of the network separation issue.
Yeah.
But none of these are reportable. And we did reach out for some clarification on that as well. So that's good, but we have moved them all with the exception of the one item from zero more towards implementation. As a follow-up to that, in future policy and governance meetings, we'll be addressing specific policies as well that we would like to implement. So this time I just wanted to give you a heads up and make you aware so that you're not blindsided.
Well, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Keith Monroe and Stacy Trumbo on things, is what's your target date?
Well,
in other words, if you say we want to get to 5, do you have a goal for that? Is it in the next year, 2 years?
Great question. I wish I had a shoot from the hip answer for you. At this time, I do not know.
You're just in the trenches right now with it.
Well, I'm trying to, and I say I, but we're trying to make progress where we can. Some of it is dependent upon the adopting of policy by the BOCC. So we have to submit to you a policy that has been through the review process internally that we feel would be acceptable for the BOCC to adopt. But it is the responsibility by law of the BOCC to set policy. That's not our job. We can give you a draft.
But I mean, I don't operate in this world, but none of these are reportable.
That is correct.
So they're best practices.
That is correct.
So in lack of approving a policy, the board has set a policy, right? I mean, you say it's the BOCC's responsibility by law, but yet these are not reportable findings. And I appreciate that we're making steady and sustained progress, but at times, you guys are a small shop. And so, I mean, ideally, all of this would be addressed, but, one of my things has always been, well, we're so busy doing this, what's not getting done on the other? And I think it appears that you guys are doing a good job. I mean, you're making progress. But I want to make sure we all understand, these are best practices in, I would assume, government world as well, but in a private sector IT shop, this would be law almost, right? It'd be the Bible. But we're not a private sector. We have limited staff resources. We have people pulling at, we just heard about this Aegis project and all of this. So, I think you're doing really good, making progress. But I want to be careful that we're not somehow giving the impression that the board is not following the law or dealing with reportable findings, because I think we have done.
Right. That is correct. Right. Yes, sir. And forgive me if I gave...
No, CJ, that's for everybody that's watching.
Okay. Yes, sir. I guess what Joe might be alluding to there is, this is what organizations in general would consider as a control objective standard, the best practices for implementation of best controls.
With regard to your list here?
Yes, sir.
You've got numbers 1 through 16. Is this rank order of importance that we need to try to address? Or?
No, sir.
Okay.
That's just still listing as they came off of the
Okay.
report, so. Again, just wanted to make you aware.
Yep. I'm glad we'll make progress.
Me too.
Small steps.
What's the status of Civic Plus?
Ready to go live tomorrow.
Yep.
We've got, actually, we are live on the sheriff's office site, we are live on the assessor's office site, and we're live on the, whatever they call it, the International Association, they're OK-IAO.org. Those three are live, so we're batting 750 right now, which, you know, this is baseball, would be pretty much a star in the IT world. It's not perfect, so.
The problem that we ran into last week, we found a solution for it. When I came in on Tuesday, I kind of looked at it from a different angle. And when Dan and I sat down and talked about it to make sense, we were able to solve that particular situation, so there should be no more issues with being able to go forward. Crossing fingers.
We don't see any issues. I think tomorrow will go just fine. As far as at least, now whatever little things might be broken off the other
Yes, we'll
side,
probably still have things.
there's going to be something
fixed.
correct.
Mr. Weaver has been extremely diligent about making sure he's reviewing everything and trying to make sure that the website looks its best before it goes live.
And we'll okcc.online, the name you could trust, go live as well.
It's actually, it already is live.
I know.
Yeah, we'll have
Is it redirecting and it all fixed?
No, not tomorrow.
Okay.
So, we want to talk about OKCC.online. What we need to do to make it fully functional is, this kind of two-step process. It is functional from the outside because GoDaddy hosts what we call the DNS record, okay? And that's pointing to here to get it, okay? We need to move that under our control if the board wants to, if you guys would want to, okay? And we put that on our Fat Pipe Load Balancer, plus our other DNS records for OklahomaCounty.org and OKCounty.org. We'll just add a zone for OKCC.online and make the appropriate records. Now, from an internal point of view, so that it works internally, we have to create a zone on our internal DNS. Same concept, but it's purely internal. We haven't done that because we didn't have any authorization or guidance to say, go do this.
We were waiting for the resolution from the board.
Correct.
And you got that this morning?
Yes, sir. Correct. So now we can go do it.
Okay.
Now, it's going to be, that will make it a website that is live in and of itself, separate from Civic Plus. That's a
Correct. Has nothing to do with OklahomaCounty.org, the website. They are separate entities.
They will be completely separate. They will have to, the county clerk's office will be responsible for placing the proper linkage out on their page to go to OKCC.online.
They manage the hardware, they manage the software.
What security issues do we have with that?
I don't see any security issues really as far as, no different than them hosting the e-file site. Same concept. So,
It would be the same security risk as anything that's internal to the county.
correct.
Because they did move it all inside.
Correct.
But when it's all said and done, if someone logs in on Oklahoma County's website,
Correct.
that
If you go to
would be available.
OklahomaCounty.org, there should be a link.
There'll be a link, okay, under
County clerk's
Yes,
page or
website,
wherever.
okay.
Yeah.
They have to fix that.
Now,
Now,
add a link over to it.
we will say that the OKCC.online website itself does not fall under the protection of our web access firewall that we have for our main site.
Today, but it can.
It can.
And we were prepared to do that if the board agreed to take it. So we do have an extra place in the capital to protect that. That'd be part of the plan as well.
And we would want to do that.
Absolutely.
And you all are prepared to handle the $50 licensing?
That's what we have to do. It's your turn this year.
Oh God, that's right. I forgot about that. Well, with the domain hosting, GoDaddy, network solutions, things of that nature, they do not accept POs.
I've heard.
Yes. So one of us will
Erin Edrington, I think, would volunteer her credit card. We'll pay you right back.
Any more questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Shel.
Motion to receive.
Second, Joe.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item number 11, Keith. You're up.
Not much to report, other than the disaster recovery effort by MIS, I think is made more important as a result of the storm that we had a couple of weeks ago. In the length of time I've been here, I've never seen the building lose power or have power restored repeatedly and quickly to the point that it damaged equipment. We had some electronic equipment damage that governs the heating and air conditioning system, and anything like that happens again, I can see how it could be crippling. We're fed from a number of different directions from OG&E, but again, the length of time I've been here, I've never seen that happen, and that's a difficult thing to have to deal with, certainly, with electrical apparatus. We're doing what we do, supporting the project, showing up to work, cutting holes. We've got a mosquito infestation on the first floor. We'll take care of that today. Any questions?
This may not be your bailiwick, but I heard because of what happened in Houston, the jail lower roof, some of the supplies are gonna be delayed. Is that more of an engineering deal?
I've not been informed of that, but I think they'll be aware.
You can expect, I can't say as far as the jail roof or any roofing supplies, we have ongoing work, but any supplies that have to do with construction, you can expect price increases. Also, I've been made aware that contractors here are paying premiums to keep them here. That will, in some respects, I think, drive costs for projects that we have upcoming.
Especially after. Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Keith.
Motion to receive.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 12, Jamie.
We really don't have anything going on, just kidding. That was a joke. By the way, how did you get moved up on the agenda above me?
They moved us down last time.
Okay.
I thought we should be last, I think.
Thank you, Jamie.
We'll cover a couple of things first and then end on a really positive note. We continue to struggle with retention for detention officers. So the first page shows you our vacancies that we carried during FY 16-17. And for 7 months, we averaged 25 vacancies. You know, we had a hiring freeze that we implemented in March 1st, and we barely slid in home. And so I think that's significant if you look at the number of vacancies we carried all year and then completely shut down hiring, and we barely made it. So I looked at, I looked at March, the month that we had the 8 vacancies, and I looked at what were our payroll costs for that, thinking that 8 was probably a fairly realistic and hopeful number to be able to be at. We couldn't sustain that if we were lucky enough to have 8 vacancies for 12 months. By the time we pay overtime and annual leave payouts and unemployment, we would still run short. For this fiscal year, we had 30 vacancies in July and 28 in August. And we're still, trying to hire. If you look at the next page, it'll show you calendar 2016, calendar 2017 to date, and then what's happened since July 1st. So in calendar 2016, which I've said this before, but 85% of all of our detention officer positions turned over at least once. 70% of those had less than 1 year of tenure. When you go to the 8 months that we've completed in calendar 17, we're seeing pretty much the same thing. 90% of the people that have left had less than 1 year of tenure. We've had 52 officers resign. So that basically works out to about a 72% of all of the author line positions turning over at least once in the last 8 months. When we look at just July and August, we hired 20 in those 2 months and we've lost 13. Not necessarily 13 of the 20 that we offered, but in terms of net gain and loss. So, pretty significant challenge that we continue to deal with. The next page is where we are with our current overtime liability for just detention, which is pretty much all of it. We have about $73,000 overtime costs on the books right now. The officers range anywhere from 1 hour to the high of 288 hours on the books. One officer's owed $5,140, and I think the significant thing about that, when you look at all the turnover and instability, that still the people that are on board today, 32% of those are owed in excess of $1,000 overtime. Now we're not, we haven't calculated any funding to account for all these payouts that are going to happen, and that's why we're carrying, we have 10 positions frozen, but I don't know when we'll ever get to the point that we'll go, wow, we need to get some money for those 10 positions, but of course that's the goal. Now we'll turn the corner. It's interesting that Dan brought up injuries today, because that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about. These major staff injuries, as you see on this chart, in January, we implemented a new policy that requires every single accident to be investigated. Because what I realized is, even though the form that we signed, and it says, the county form, the supervisor, thou shalt investigate. Well, I don't know what's happening anywhere else. I only know what was happening at our place. The investigation consisted of the employees saying, yeah, they twisted their ankle and signing the report. So we implemented a policy where the supervisor has to fill out and investigate the accident and submit it to me, and they have to indicate whether or not it was a training issue, a negligence or policy and procedure violation, or caused by a physical plant issue. And I think that we're seeing a lot of things kind of come together. I think it's interesting to see that the number of officer vacancies has steadily increased, while the injuries, and these are injuries in detention only, which is pretty much where they'll occur, has steadily decreased. And that's a combination of the investigation process that's now required, all of the things that Reginald Hines has put into place with regard to changing our use of force policy, retraining all of our officers, and implementing some de-escalating techniques where we're not having to use restraints as much. And so it's all kind of coming together. So even though I know I'm one of your top customers, I did want to let you know that we're really paying attention to it. Grants, we've applied for 2 grants, last month, with the Bar Foundation and the County Bar Foundation. $7,000 for our literacy program, which is going great, and $5,000 for, supplement programming and employability, living skills, drug and alcohol, and so on. We should find out in the next couple of months. I feel really confident about both of them. Certainly the $7,000 one, that would be a renewal and an increase from last year. Gave you some pictures. We're really proud. The ribbon cutting and dedication for our clothes closet went great. Judge Jacobson's wife and all of his sons, 2 grandchildren, and their wives were all there. And it just couldn't have gone better. It was a little emotional, but they were so proud and so honored to have his name be associated with this project. So that was really nice. And then a few pictures from, we had a reception for Judge Davis. As you know, we have a new chief judge. She's back home, I guess you would say, and Judge Harrelson is now our chief judge. So that went really well. I've also started leadership training with all the supervisors. We're trying to look at the retention of employees from every angle that we can look at. How are they treated? What skills do these supervisors need to do a better job with the employees, better training, treat them better, all those kinds of things. Are they doing evaluations properly? All that stuff. Because you can't really ignore it. There's a whole lot of things that go into that. And so the pictures are silly, but they had a good time. They learned about communication, and I used to do a lot of leadership training, so I had a few things that I could put together without a lot of work. So we're going to do that probably every month. And this month we're having our first all-hands meeting, which is where we invite all staff, and we're doing it twice at 9 and again at 2 to catch shifts. It's not required, but we've invited them to attend. We'll do a brief update on what's going on in our agency, and then we'll let them ask questions, any questions that they want. And so part of this leadership training was for me to sort of lay the groundwork that sometimes that can be painful, and it's not going to be set up as beat people up. You know, we'll have some ground rules and so on, but that's the only way we're going to get better. It's the only way we're going to know things that are happening from the ground up or not happening. So we're excited to start that process.
Any questions?
What are your daily numbers? Are they remaining fairly constant?
Yeah, fairly constant. We were in the low to mid-50s for a couple of months, and now we're like mid-60s, but we haven't gotten up to the panic point. Those lower numbers have helped us with all the vacancies, as you know, because of the required ratios.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks.
Yeah, but I don't know if I can ask. I need to confer with counsel.
Just so everybody knows, I seem distracted. I'm on my phone a lot, but I'm listening. But my wife and I bought a new house. We sold our house. I sent her over to the Netherlands for her birthday.
Well,
She
I mean,
got
so I
here
have
this
to make sure
morning.
that
Okay.
my information.
So all the
is not
inspections and all that
updated.
stuff are going on right now, and it's all coming to me.
Can we go back? just
My
for
apologies.
One additional juvenile
Yes.
question.
James, you came back up, please.
Hey, Jimmy, you all were asked to put some numbers together, and I was just curious without where we're at on that.
Okay. We have those put together and submitted them to Erin, requesting it be placed on the executive agenda, executive session. She said it didn't qualify. I met with the chief judge right before the holiday, and we discussed it, and he said that he would like to meet with Erin before we took the next step. So that's where we are. I sent him an email this morning, that was late Friday, and asked him if he had a chance to contact her, but I haven't heard back yet. So that's where we are.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to receive.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 13, John.
Sure.
Designated hitter. You said minutes, D1's gonna have a designated hitter.
Hopefully this will be short. Good morning. Just taking care of everyday business, getting ready to move. I think our space will be ready probably for the first of next week. We're almost there. Just one thing to make you aware of that we need to do next budget year is transfer a little money from M&O to capital, just to complete, do some basic need stuff, get a copier and some other stuff. We're about at 10% now, and our capital outlay plan is going to keep in there. Any questions?
Any questions?
Did your computers arrive?
They have, and I've contacted IT and asked them to get with us to make the the transfer data and get everything set up hopefully by Monday next week so we can move.
Great. Do I have a motion to receive the report?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, Mr. Matthews.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Morning.
As you know, we've advertised for the position of IT Director. We received 23 applications. Now we need to make provisions for how we're going to proceed and the procedures that we're going to use for that. And the last time we did this a couple of years ago, I made copies of all the applications that we received, and we used letters to identify those, so not to get the names out in public before we are to the point that we're ready to interview. So with your permission, I'd like to get those copies, distribute them to you individually, and then at some point in the near future, after you've had a chance to review those, set up a meeting to review them as the interview team, and make a decision on who we want to interview or how we want to proceed going forward. But open to comments or suggestions on how we do that.
Sounds like a good plan to me. I don't have anything to add. Proceed.
Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved. Proceed as outlined by our HR director.
With the guidance from the disciplinary's office.
Correct, and I just spoke with her already, and obviously we'll seek her counsel as needed.
I know you will.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Item 15, do we have any new business? Seeing none. Any citizen participation? Now's your shot. Seeing none. Board comments, Mr. Blau.
No thanks.
Mr. Rao.
Pleasure doing business with you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.